guys, Lori here. I'm back today to do my tips and tricks video for BookCon and Book Expo. This is the third time I'm going to BookCon and the second time I'm going to BEA. So I just wanted to go over my tips and tricks for this convention. I did do a very similar video last year, but since I have gone to BEA, I want to add a few more tips and tricks. But yeah, so let's get into the most important tip and trick that I can give you is to just have fun and enjoy the experience, especially when going to BookCon because honestly, it's if you're all going for the same thing. We all want the same exact arcs. So I say go in there with super low expectations and just enjoy yourself. Even if you come out with nothing, and that's happened to me. I've gone to places and I've walked out with nothing. But just enjoy being surrounded by people that you know like reading. And even if you're going totally by yourself, strike up a conversation with someone. I would go in with super low expectations and maybe choose like your one and two things that you absolutely know you want to try for, but be happy knowing that you may not get them. BookCon is a lot more chaos, I've noticed. This is the BEA was definitely like a different animal, and there's pro and cons with every convention, but just go there and have fun. Enjoy yourself. Realize you're kind of escaping from your life for a little bit, and it's just super fun. And you just learn about stuff. Like I learned about so much last year that like became some of my favorite reads. But I was looking over the BookCon and Book Expo schedule. BookCon seems it's like spread out its love a little bit, which is good. So hopefully there will be more opportunities to get stuff, and not everything will be so crazy. I'm sure stuff will be crazy, but just enjoy yourself. Have fun. Take a breather. Realize that these conventions are meant to be enjoyable and not to try to get yourself trampled. This trick is really related to BookCon, and it has to do with have low ARC expectations. For those that don't know, an ARC is an advanced reader copy that you don't pay for and you get early. And it's very hard because you want it. You want that, and I think everyone kind of wants the same exact thing. So you have to kind of go in with super low expectations and just realize you may not get an arc. You may not. You may and you may not, but you just have to go in with kind of low expectations. And especially at BookCon, I think it's harder to get arcs or just a little bit more chaotic to get arcs. But it's also just like enjoy the fun experiences. Like I was looking over at the schedules and they have games and they have prizes and stuff like that. So I would almost like work with those, and if there's an arc you absolutely want, then try to go for it, but also consider the other experiences like the panels or the games that they're doing or the signings or the autograph signings. I know that the autograph signings don't most of the time they don't get a lot of love, but really look at those authors, and if you've never met Sarah, like whoever, like Lee Barduga or whoever, consider going for an autographing because you never know that you're ever going to see these authors ever again. So I would go with super low arc expectations and maybe have like a list of the top 5 arcs you'd really want to try for and just know when they're dropping it. And that's going to be my next tip. But yeah, so that's just my piece. And I've learned this from going to BookCon the past 3 years. I went in with no expectations and I always was really happy, but that's just because I wasn't overly upset if I didn't get something. This tip is one that I'm going to say specifically for BEA, and it's just you're going there with a purpose. Like you're going there as a reviewer or you're going there as a teacher. Just go in a very, very professional manner. And I think when you're talking to publishers and publicists, just be very, very respectful. Like I always ask for stuff and normally I get it, but just be very, very respectful. Kind of dress nice. I kind of go in like a nice dress and I just kind of look professional. It's kind of a different animal. You definitely will get a lot more stuff at BEA if you do wind up going, just because it's not as crazy. There are things that are crazy. There just are. But I'm saying in that specific convention, just remember to be a little bit more professional, and kind of know that you're dealing with publishers for your brand, whatever your brand is. Like I'm a blogger and I'm a YouTuber and I'm also a teacher. So that's kind of my brand, but just know you're kind of supporting your brand, and also come with business cards if you're going to BEA. come with like any information that these publishers need so that you can get the materials or stuff that you want. If you know you want something, ask at BEA. I wouldn't ask at BookCon because that's kind of a different animal, but BEA, if you know you want something, kind of just ask. They may not give it to you, but asking is always an option at BEA. At least that's been my experience. This tip I'm going to give you has always worked for me. So it doesn't mean that you have to do this, but I am a big planner. And what happens is whenever the ARC schedules start dropping, I just make an itemized schedule of everything that's happening that I potentially want. I write the time, what it is, the author that's involved, and what is it? Is it a drop? Is it an autographing? Is it a signing? And where is it? And I just have it all on a piece of paper, and I have like 9 things every hour. So if something falls through, or I don't get something, or like they drop something at 3 o'clock but I didn't have it on my schedule, then I could just cross it out and be like, okay, I already have this. That really works for me. I like to have a plan. I get very, very crazy if I don't have a plan. So I normally go with like 5 pieces of paper, and I have that I have my plan. And then I kind of go to every single booth at this first start of the day, and I just kind of pick up their pieces of paper. So I'm literally walking around with like 75 different things. But then I just don't lose it. So I just have a lot of paper, and I just try not to lose it. That's my biggest tip. But I just try to be as organized as I can. So if something falls through, I have a backup plan. And that's basically how I try to get as much stuff as I do, just because I know that not everything is a guarantee. So I just try to have something else that I could be doing. Also, there's always line issues at BookCon. So I would just be super respectful. If publishers tell you not to line up early, don't line up early. It's a simple thing to do. And I know we all want it, but it just creates a safety hazard that really doesn't need to occur. The 4 Dead Queens drop last year was a freaking disaster. It was a mess, and it just didn't have to be that crazy and chaotic. So if you are told to not stand somewhere, then don't stand somewhere. I think publishers also have to realize that we're just supporting them, and I think that that's kind of like a fine line. But for me, I always go in with a very, very itemized plan, and I hand it out to everyone, and we kind of know what we're going. I also always go with a group of people, which always seems to help. So like, we'll ARC share. So like if I'm going online for Ali Condi's new book and my friend Sarah is going online for something else, at the end of the day, we'll just swap books. So you may not get everything, but if you go with a group of people like I did, then you kind of have more opportunities to get these books in different ways, even if you're not physically taking it home with you. Kind of piggybacking off of that, Tim, is just go with a group of people. Like my first con I went to was BookCon a couple of years back, and I enjoyed it, but I didn't have anyone to talk to. So over the past 3 years, I've just kind of developed a friend group, and we kind of go to book signings together all year, and we kind of look. We go to New York City Comic Con in the fall, and we go to BA in the spring, and I have like 7 people, and it's just fun. Like even if that's when the cons are fun to me, because you're not looking for only arcs, or you're not looking for only autographings. You're kind of going with a friend group. And even if you don't know anyone, like strike up a conversation with people. Like that's how I got all these friends, like these people that I know. We just were online together. We're like, oh, you want to talk? Oh, I know you like YA. You should go to that table because they're giving out Rosebud. Like that was just how conversation started. But yeah, we go online together, and then it's also good because if you're waiting online with someone, you have to go to the bathroom or you have to go get food. You're just always someone. So it makes these conversations conventions just more fun because you're interacting with people, and when situations come up, you have someone to talk to, and you're on lines for a lot of things in these conventions. So always have a buddy. We normally go in a group of like 7, but we kind of split ourselves. So like I'll be with like one of my friends, and my other friend will be over there. But go with a group of friends, or just make friends. And I know sometimes it's scary if you're like socially awkward, but just strike up a conversation. The worst that can happen, the person just stands there and doesn't say anything. But for me, I've been very, very successful. And about these conventions, any convention you go to, you always have a vested interest in something. Like you're all interested in one thing because you're online for it. So just talk about that. That's one of my biggest tips. Find friends, make friends, and just build bookish connections in general. This tip and trick is really important, and it's be flexible because stuff changes, and that's just something that just happens that no one predicts. So, you may have a very, very detailed schedule, and then they decide that they're going to drop Wicked King or Queen of Nothing, which they're not going to do. I'm just saying, but like as an example, no, things will change. Know that arc drops might get changed, or they didn't bring the books, or the author's not there. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But I'm just saying, be flexible. Know that things will change, and you may not get everything that you have on your schedule may not happen, or it may happen earlier. That happens a lot at BEA. If you do go to BEA, sometimes they'll just drop stuff earlier, or they won't tell you that they're dropping stuff. Penguin does that a lot. Penguin doesn't often put out a schedule, and either does Epic Reads a lot. So just kind of know that like you just have to be a little bit more alert to those things and kind of listen, put your heads up and put your little antennas up, because some people don't put out schedules, but some do. So just kind of know that things can change. Publishers might surprise you. Always have some way to communicate with publishers, like your phone. I'll talk about that in a little bit later. But just know that stuff may change. Arc drops may change. Arc drops may swap. You may get something you didn't expect, and you may get stuff that you don't like. You just didn't plan on getting. So just know that be flexible. Understand that stuff changes, and just take a breath if that does happen. That's my biggest tip. That's one of my biggest tips. These two tips and tricks go hand in hand, and that is be kind to the people working at these conventions. As someone that works in retail, I have seen some horrible behavior at these conventions, and it's just kind of disgusts me a little bit. So just kind of remember that these are people too. They're working a convention, and it's not always easy because you all want the same exact thing. And just be respectful. There's no need to push. There's no need to shove. There's no need to cut in line and steal books. It's just not like it shouldn't even be in our heads. We're all book lovers, so act like a respectful human being. And I think that shouldn't even need to be said, but it does need to be said. So for me, when I go to BookCon, I tend to avoid massive arc drops for that reason, because I don't want to be involved in crowds like that, which is specifically why I didn't do Four Dead Queens last year, because I knew it was going to be a disaster. Um, but if you are going to try for that, then respect what they're telling you to do, because then that's when problems happen. So yeah, so just be respectful and just listen to the people that are trying to keep you safe, and maybe avoid massive arc drops if you don't desperately need it. Kind of going with the massive arc drop things, especially at BookCon, this is what I always tell myself. Like, if I really want a book that badly and I can't get it early, I'm just gonna read it anyway. I'm just gonna buy it or get it from the library or like get it in a book box or whatever. So if I can't get something, okay. And I know that it's easy just saying that, but like you're still going to get to read this story somehow. You're still going to experience the story somehow, even if it's a couple months down the road. And that's why when I go with my friends with ARCs, we just kind of swap them, and that's how we get it. So if all six of us really, really want Four Dead Queens, maybe one of us will try for it, or two of us will try for it, and then we'll just all read it, And there's also other opportunities to get these ARCs in the future. But yeah, so I would just kind of, if you're going to do the big drops, just be respectful, but maybe try not to do the big drops. That's my biggest tip and trick, because I think that they're just can become a little bit unsafe. So go with that, or just go to publishers that have a better organization system, like Epic Reads or Sourcebooks. Whoever has the best organization systems is the people that I would go online for, because they seem to have it down to a science. This tip and trick is my self-care tip and my food tip. Make sure you come to this convention prepared. Have Advil, have food, have water. It's just important. And I think because all these conventions, you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. So make sure you have Advil, make sure you have water, make sure you have food. Without fail, my first thing I do, or one of the first things I do, is I bring a lunch. And I make sure it has snacks. I make sure it has a sandwich, something that I'm easily able to access, because I know I'm going to be online for a lot. And also because we're staying there 4 days, we tend to go to like CVS the day before the convention, and we just get a bunch of snacks, and we just have them in the hotel. And then when we bring them, we're done, and we don't bring them home. So that's my biggest tip and trick. Always have food. Always come in with a fully packed lunch, because sometimes you're not going to want to leave the convention floor. And I also always come with like extra tote bags. I sometimes come with my luggage, and I just check it in the Javits Center, so I have something to get back to my hotel. But yeah, I just come prepared so I'm comfortable. Um, Yeah, I make sure that I have all that stuff, and I'm actually going to be doing that tomorrow. I'm going to be packing up my luggage, figuring out what clothes I need, figure out what stuff I need to bring. But yeah, so that's kind of my plan of attack. I just make sure that I have everything that I need, um, with all that stuff. So yeah, just make sure you bring Advil, you bring like water, food, all that stuff, and yeah, so that's my biggest trip. Just come there with food, water, Advil, and everything that you need to make yourself feel comfortable in case the worst happens. This tip and trick goes back to my other tip and trick, but definitely dress comfortably, whether for BEA or BuckCon. And I know I said for BEA, try to dress a little bit more professional, but to me, a professional is like a skater dress that looks cute and has like a sweater, um, but just something that I can move in. And I always wear leggings underneath it, just because that's what I like to move in. And when I go to the actual BuckCon convention, I just kind of wear like a nice shirt or like pants because it's really really important that I'm comfortable. We're moving around a lot. We're running here and there. I always wear sneakers. I know some people wear heels, but more power to them. I can't do that. But yeah, just dress comfortably. Make sure you look like professional if you are going to Book Expo, but definitely dress comfortably. That's another thing, especially if you know you're gonna potentially wind up with a lot of things. You want to have something that's just easier to like carry, like put a backpack on. That's my biggest. That's my one of my biggest examples of all that stuff. My next tip and trick is to definitely go with somehow to get your stuff back to your hotel or where you're living. So like go with like a luggage. I would come with two really big tote bags. You probably will get tote bags, but have like somewhere to put it. I always come with a backpack and I always come with a luggage that I check at the Javits Center. And I always come with a fanny pack that holds everything. Just because it's easy access. Like I have my business cards there, I'll have my phone in there, I'll have anything else that I need, and then I'll kind of be holding all my papers. But that's kind of that's kind of what I do for the organization way, so I have stuff to carry. But yeah, so I just kind of go with a backpack, a tote bag, at least one tote bag, and then my luggage, just to kind of keep everything all organized. And I do have my fanny pack, which I actually really, really like. I know fanny packs aren't that like exciting, but to me, it just keeps everything super easy access. So that's another one of my tips and tricks. This is the tip and trick that I learned about last year, and it's make sure that your phone is fully loaded. You have a way, you come with a portable charger. Your device has Twitter, Instagram, any way to contact the publishers that they're going to get you information about art drops like secret passwords. Have your BookCon app, have your Book Expo act, have your papers. All information you need so you're organized should be on your phone, and your phone should have a way to be charged. So yeah, so just make sure your phone's fully loaded. You have a way to charge it if it's needed, and then you have all your informations and ways that the publisher can contact you with information about art drops on your phone. Well, we have come to the end. My last tip and trick is to remember the purpose of this convention is to actually review the books that you get. So you should be reading these books and putting out your reviews somewhere, whether it be on your blog or on Goodreads or on Amazon or on Barnes and Noble, or send them back to the publisher if there's emails in the books. Like I don't have an ARC right now, but like just make sure that your thoughts are getting back to the publishers because that's why they do this. That's why they make all these arcs because they want to get early feedback and early buzz for these books. And that's something that I think that sometimes gets lost by the wayside just because people just want the arcs and they don't really care about reviewing them. But that's the reason that they exist. So just remember that. And also, if you don't think you're going to read something, don't take it. And I think that's hard because sometimes we just get thrown stuff at us, like especially at Book Expo, we just kind of get thrown a lot of books. But if you don't think you're gonna read it, find someone that you think might. But yeah, definitely, um, just review them, and it may take you a couple of months to review them. But I always, even if it's like a year after the book's out, I always post my review somewhere so people can know my thoughts. But I'm gonna try to be better and try to do it in a little bit more of a timely fashion. I'm still reading books from last year's BEA, but that's kind of like the nature of the beast. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed these tips and tricks. Let me know if you have any below that I did not add, and I will hopefully see you guys at BookCon. Bye.